Investigation is underway in Rankin County after investigators say a real estate agent was assaulted and robbed. Earlier today, the sheriff says deputies were called to a home on Cedar Ridge Boulevard in Pearl. He said 64-year-old Jerry Dennis walked into an open house after a realtor said he walked in saying he wanted to see the home. While they were there talking, the victim says Dennis pulled out a gun, hit her over the head, and forced her to undress before assaulting her. The sheriff says Dennis was arrested at another home in Rankin County. He's being held on bond that's close to $1 million.
Yo, YouTube, what's going on? Trey again to y'all in the video. Hope y'all having a very great day. Hope y'all having a very great week. My day is going absolutely splendid. Big shout out to all the channel members and subscribe to the Trey King Show family. And much love to each and every last one of you all. And you all, we have a story out of Mississippi by way of Pearl. And big shout out to everybody in the great state of Mississippi, everybody inside the great city of Pearl. Now, before I start this story, I want to send a special thank you out to my channel members and also to my subscribers for sending me this story. And also, keep these stories coming. Now, you all, I got one question to ask you all. When will people learn that crime does not pay? And now, family, you would think that someone that's 64 years old, they would know better and they would never do such a thing. As in the case of this story right here, where we have 64-year-old Jerry Glenn Dennis, who decided to do the unthinkable, yes, and sexually violate a woman at gunpoint. Now, family, what can make an old-ass man, 64 years old, do this type of thing? But guess what, though, family? Like I tell you all in multiple stories, that sometimes the signs be there, sometimes the signs don't. But there was one main sign that the realtor missed. But as the sheriff of Rankin County stated, this can happen to a man or a woman.
Because you think about it, that's a very vulnerable position to be in, male or female, to be a victim of a crime.
Now, most men, you're not going to get sexually violated unless, you mess around with a sweet boy and, you got some evil people out there. But women, you have to be extra careful. But ask yourself this, family, what can a man or a woman do if a person has a gun pointed at you and they are demanding for you to get undressed? Either you're going to comply, or I hate to say this word right here, 3 letters, or you will die. Anyway, let's begin.
Tonight, the local Realtor Association is devastated after a violent attack on one of their own.
Rankin County investigators launched an intense investigation after an agent was assaulted and robbed.
This is the model home where the assault happened. Deputies say the victim fought back, even biting the suspect's hand, and was able to give a detailed description, leading to an arrest an hour later.
And now, after hearing what the news reporter has stated, the realtor was only trying to do her job. And that's a shame that you cannot even go to your job and carry out your duties without having to worry about somebody trying to rob you and also sexually violate you. Now, what kind of person, especially a 64-year-old person, wakes up one morning and decide they want to sexually violate a woman and also rob her? What kind of person does that? That's why it goes to show you, you can't judge a book by its cover. And now, true enough, Jerry Glenn Dennis looked just like a Simpson character, and he's an old man, but at the same time, looks can be very deceiving, as in the case of this story. So you cannot sit there and look at somebody and say they won't do that, because you just never know, as in the case of these stories I have done throughout the years. So one thing about it, you always got to be on guard. But guess what, though? Even when you're on guard, sometimes that does not work. But what makes the story even more crazy, your family, is the fact that after Jerry Glenn Dennis sexually violated the woman, she gave the police a full description of Jerry Glenn Dennis, and his dumb ass was caught, yes, an hour later.
And was able to give a detailed description, leading to an arrest an hour later.
So what did it prosper, Jerry, to carry out this attack on this woman? When, number one, you're caught, and it's a good thing that you are caught. But, sir, you did this in Rankin County, Mississippi, and you're 64 years old. So basically, sir, you can kiss your ass and your life goodbye. Anyway, let's continue.
The realtor community shaken up after one of their own was assaulted and robbed at gunpoint during an open house showing in Pearl. Deputies say the suspect called to see the property, claiming he was looking for a home for his brother.
And as I told you all in the beginning of the video, there was a sign, and the sign was basically missed over by the realtor, because you would never think that someone would come to your job and sexually violate you. Now, the main sign that was ignored, even though it's quite understandable, because people do that, but at the same time, it's very rare. If a person is interested in buying a home, why would they not themselves contact the realtor? And also, why wouldn't they show up themselves at the open house to talk to the realtor and also look at the house? And as I stated earlier in the story, sometimes people do contact realtors for their family members and also for other people who are interested in buying a home. So that is not out the ordinary. But the main key thing is this right here, family, and make sure you all remember that, especially if you are a realtor. If someone calls on behalf of somebody else and that person do not show up, chances are something may be wrong. It may be fraud, or the person may be trying to rob you, or in the case of this story, rob you and also sexually violate you. That's why you always got to be on guard. Keep your head on a swivel. Let's continue.
I got to commend the victim in this case because she, without her detailed information, description of evidence and everything, because of her, our deputies were able to arrest the suspect in less than an hour.
That suspect is 64-year-old Jerry Dennis, who is charged with 2 counts of battery, kidnapping, and armed robbery.
And now, family, answer this for me. After hearing those charges that are pending against Jerry Glenn Dennis, how much time in the great state of Mississippi do you think Jerry Glenn Dennis is facing? And also, remember this, he is 64 years old. But think about this, though. After he carried out this attack, robbing this woman, and also sexually violating this woman, and the story goes also that he hit her in the head with the pistol and then made her get undressed. That's a damn shame right there.
The victim says Dennis pulled out a gun, hit her over the head, and forced her to undress before assaulting her.
But I will say this, it's a great thing that the realtor gave the police a great description of Jerry Glenn Dennis, and that's how they was able to catch his dumbass within an hour. So, sir, once again, what did it prosper you to carry out this attack? You could have stayed your old ass at home and watched the Golden Girls. What is wrong with you? Anyway, let's close up.
Situations like this are still incredibly difficult to prepare for, even with training.
You can have as much training as you would like, but when you're faced with this situation, for the first time or, just faced with this situation in person, it's hard to really be ready for it.
And now in closing, as I told y'all earlier in the video, that you cannot prepare for these type of situations because you just never know when it's going to pop off. You just never know the type of people that you are encountering. That's why you always got to be careful. But more than anything, if a person have a gun pointed at you and they also hit you with the gun upside your head, the best thing to do is to comply. Or you already know what's going to follow behind that. But I'm very saddened that we have a woman who is just trying to do her job, basically trying to earn a decent living. And on the other hand, we have an old man who decides to wake up Tuesday morning and carry out an attack on an innocent woman who was just trying to make a sale. That's it. But this story shows you cannot believe all stereotypes because as you all see Jerry Glenn Dennis' face, yes, he does look like a Simpson character, but at the same time, who would suspect an old-ass man, 64 years old, to sexually violate somebody and also rob them? Because as these stories illustrate and show you all that you can't trust nobody hardly these days. But anyway, you all let me know what you think about this story. If there's anything I may have missed or misinformed, which is not my true intent, please let me know in the comments section or you can email me and we can talk about it more there. If you like the video, push that like button. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, become a channel member. Also share the video with your family and friends. Till next time, you all stay blessed. And I will see y'all soon on the next Trey King Show. And guess what? I'm out.